Good morning. It's great to be with you once again for another episode of Fridays with Frank. I'm Scott Cullen, editor-in-chief of the Cannata Report. Now, before I bring Frank out, don't forget to do the usual like, subscribe, comment, send Frank your questions. And now let's please welcome Frank Cannata. Hey, Frank, how are you this morning and what's on your mind?
I'm doing great, Scott, and got an interesting question that actually came from a dealer for a change, but it was as a result of CJ and I being asked to moderate a panel for the BPCA in their spring meeting, which we did and thoroughly enjoyed. But they gave us a stack of questions we never got around to asking the panel. And I asked Dave Green, who's the president, and Dominic Pentrelli, who's their executive administrator, would you mind if I use them on Fridays with Frank? They said, absolutely not. Go ahead. So this question comes from a dealer. They didn't identify who the dealers were, so I'm sorry, I can't tell you. But we know quite a few of them. That's a good group. So anyway, the question that I singled out that I thought would be interesting for us to discuss is, where should the focus in terms of technology be that will help dealers retain their present margin structure? Now, I said, is that the right approach? In other words, if you're looking at a diversification, is the first thing you analyze your margin structure? I don't know if that's correct. And the more I thought about it, and the less I said, no, that's not the right approach. Because fundamentally, let's face it, the dealer audience that we appeal to has been in business for a couple of decades. There's very few newcomers in the business that we address. So they have a market area where their brand is accepted. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been in business all that long. So, in other words, they have credibility. So let's assume for a moment that diversification, they come up with something, and at the moment, I'm kind of thinking about what would it be. And let's go back to the old bromide that everybody's kicking around now, like AI. And to think that you're going to be able to go out and employ a technology, which is, in my opinion, and I think you would agree, Scott, that has become widely accepted. And people are using it in very, very different ways. Increasing productivity is one of them. And I would have to say, do you go in and sell something, a concept like that, without having service revenue per se? You're going in there and you're teaching them how to employ a technology. To me, that's a very simple approach, and it doesn't require the same margin structure as selling a piece of hardware. And not only that, but let's assume for the moment that you targeted your existing customers who know you, who value your service, who value the products that you bring. So it's not going to be an uphill battle. You're going to have your wins and you're going to have your losses, but the losses will be coming mostly not from newcomers. They'll be coming from people who have bought things from you in other areas. So what does this all turn out to be? Yes, it's good to think of, what's my margin? Ideally, so you sit down and you want to plan a budget for going out and employing a strategy where you have people selling a service, or as part of a service, or as a part of a consultation, the employment of AI. Well, that should be a very easy thing to be able to get the opportunity for your salespeople to approach and try and sell. It's not like selling a new piece of hardware. And traditionally, dealers know better than trying to go in and crack their myth with a new piece of hardware. That'll spoil their retention rate. And they know better, and they wouldn't do it. So yeah, I like the strategy that dealers that we all know and respect take when they take on something new. Turn to the salespeople that you want to run with and initially give them a pretty good commission on their success to get the incentive for them to get turned on. And just say, only bring me net new customers, period. Don't go, don't go to the dealers in your territory that you've sold an MPF before, and they know you, know us, or they have a machine of ours. No, the only time you want to go in and sell that type of customer is when it's not another piece of hardware. It's a software in this case that we're talking about. And I hope that makes sense, that you think about what can I do with this new product or service that I want to sell that is really a diversification and will give us a new revenue stream. If you think along those lines, I think you'll find that you can operate the business very profitably on perhaps a lower margin. I think it's that simple. I don't know if that makes sense, Scott, but that's my story.